And we're back in the spotlight section. We now have proof that people lie to pollsters. Okay, it happened.
No.
Yes, absolutely. Harris poll this week polled Americans about what they thought were the most prestigious and, for what we like to do, the least prestigious positions. And of course, real estate, agent and broker, which I understand that, like people I know there, stockbroker, okay, yeah. Bankers, accountants. Accountants generally are people who just do their stuff. They're usually not
job, right?
Not emotional. But there's
I didn't see members of Congress on here though.
Or lawyers.
They don't have anything that
Lawyers?
low. Yeah, nothing that low. But the very bottom rung you saw, entertainers. Okay. Now, do you believe that, by the way?
No, I don't believe that. I think people watch. When they see an entertainer on TV, it brings attention to the campaign. I don't know if it brings any enhancement to it, but the press will follow it because you have either Paris Hilton or Toby Keith. It's going to bring attention to that individual. Lots of people think that politics are an irritant, so that when they see somebody famous attached to somebody running for a political position, who knows? It might give them a bump. I mean, look at the Barry Switzer effect in 2002 with Governor Henry.
What do you think? Do you think people dislike or don't respect entertainers?
Well, no. I absolutely think that people like certain entertainers, obviously some more than others. And I think that there is an intersection between politics and show business, most certainly. I mean, we jokingly refer to politics as show business for ugly people. So certainly I think when...
Speak for yourself. Speak for yourself, please.
So certainly I think that when some entertainers and celebrities get involved in politics, depending on who they are and what level of independent credibility that they have, that it may in fact have some impact on a campaign.
Okay, well, let's take a look at something. Earlier this week last week, you should set this up by telling people, there was this ad that John McCain ran called The One, and then there was one dealing with, Barack Obama's the biggest celebrity in the world, and it featured The Messiah, The One, all this. Featured Britney Spears and Paris Hilton. Well, there was a couple of things happened this week. First, Paris Hilton has responded, and then that News 9 had an interview with Toby Keith this week about the presidential race.
By the way, I think Paris's parents actually are contributors of John McCain.
And that shows you the difference in this campaign. The old folks' ways of the past are for, the old folks, and the young folks that are going to come in and vote are going to vote for Obama, and Obama's going to win.
All right, let's take a look at what Paris and Toby had to say.
I'm Paris Hilton, and I approve this message because I think it's totally hot.
Paris Hilton, sitting poolside, slings mud at GOP presidential hopeful John McCain in a new response ad.
But then that wrinkly white-haired guy used me in his campaign ad, which I guess means I'm running for president. So thanks for the endorsement, white-haired dude. And I want America to know that I'm, totally ready to lead.
I'm a lifetime Democrat, but I really see that we have the best Democratic candidate that we've had since Bill Clinton. I didn't think Kerry and Gore carried the kind of leadership ability that Obama does, and I also think McCain has every right to be a leader too. So everybody's still waffling. They haven't even picked their vice president candidate yet, and as it gets closer, we'll try to figure out. Everybody needs to go educate themselves and try to figure out who to vote for. But last thing you need to do is go find you a star and listen to who they vote for, because they usually know the least.
Yeah, that's sage words. By the way, Paris, when you hear a reporter that doesn't know what they're talking about, they'll say throwing mud, because throwing mud sometimes means issues. I get tired of that. And Toby looking like that was more than his horses that had beer last night. But anyway, the whole point of this is this. People get tied to these celebrities, and when people say it doesn't work, as you've already pointed out, you look back. Barry Switzer is probably the best political consultant in Oklahoma after what he did for Brad Henry. I mean, Barry doesn't lose. So should people pay attention to candidates because some celebrity is endorsing them or hanging out next to them like Chuck Norris did Mike Huckabee?
I don't know if people should pay attention to them, but I suspect a lot of people do pay attention to them. I'm going to try to talk to Toby Keith. I wish he'd think about next time running for the United States Senate in Oklahoma as a Democrat. He's a lifelong Democrat. I think he'd win. We tried to get Switzer to run, but he decided not to do it. In the 2002 election, Switzer supported Brad Henry. Brad Henry did not win by very many votes, but enough votes I think Barry Switzer brought to the table, and maybe that was enough to win. But anybody that doesn't use celebrities and has access to them, I think is making a mistake. As far as the wrinkly old white-haired guy, I got to be careful here. I'm getting a few wrinkles myself, so let's hope she was referring to John McCain. That's going to be the contrast in this election. It's going to be the vision of Obama, youth, and hope for the future versus the old, tired policies of the Republican past.
And I know, listen, one celebrity is whichever candidate decides the biggest flip-flopper, Brett Favre's going to endorse. So,
yeah, he's the king of flip-flopping.
yeah.
Brett
So
Favre, what a
Switzer, I mean, he works both ways, right?
Well, he does. But listen, I want to address this Paris Hilton comment. I mean, listen, the sad part of that, what you didn't see was the rest of the clip where she was actually elaborating on what would be her energy plan if she were the president. And here's the bad part, Richard, for you and the Democrat Party at the national level, is that she actually has a more substantive energy plan than Barack Obama.
But you don't see that because the tired policies the Republican passed, they didn't show it because they knew that's the same old dribble coming from the Republicans.
Paris Hilton
Oil.
is pro-drilling. She is pro-nuclear power. She supports other energy alternatives. Again, she has a more substantive energy policy than Barack Obama. That is a sad day for the Democrats. As to Barry Switzer, hey, listen, you guys are absolutely right about Barry Switzer. He delivered the election on a platter for Brad Henry. Did you know the inside story? We actually heard the whole story from Coach one night over dinner, and that is that people didn't know who Brad Henry was whenever he had announced for governor, and even when he made it into a runoff situation, they would go into these restaurants out in rural Oklahoma. They would set up a meeting place in the back. No one would show up, so Coach would go out in the place where people were eating and say, "Hey, you want to come meet the next governor of Oklahoma?" I mean, he deserves some
credit. There
was
some effort to run Switzer as governor, but he decided not to do it. Toby Keith, think about running. But as usual, my Republican friends, it's just telling falsehood after falsehood. The real flip-flopper here is John McCain, okay? They don't have an energy policy other than being addicted to oil. Folks, there's a new day, a bright future, and when this campaign gets going, Obama's going to kick McCain's.
Well, we're getting pretty close to time, but we had people like last time. We had Alec Baldwin. Was it Alec Baldwin who said, the movie actor who said, "I'm going to leave the country if John Kerry loses"? Last I saw, Alec Baldwin was still in the country. But would you use a celebrity?
If depending on who the celebrity was, if they had some independent credibility with the public, and whether or not they were able to speak intelligently and articulate on whatever issue it is that I was wanting them to talk about, the answer is yes. But listen, I've got to tell you, even Toby Keith, I like his music. Alec Baldwin, listen, he may be a liberal left-wing loon, but I like him as an actor. I mean, I watch his shows, but listen, I don't want this guy spoon-feeding me my politics, and I suspect that most of the public feels the same way. They need to stick to their entertaining. We'll take care of the political business up here.
The reactionary right-wingers don't have any celebrities because they don't believe in anything of their old failed, tired policies of the past.
Does Fred Thompson ring a bell?
Fred Thompson, a failed candidate for the Republican Party. Is he in a wheelchair yet? He's so
Does Ronald Reagan ring a bell?
Ronald Reagan is long since gone, and thank God none of those people are around. John McCain is the guy of the past. He represents the failed 8 years of the Republican presidency. If you vote for John McCain, you're voting for a failed war, energy, economy, and everything else that's related to George Bush. It's a new day, a new time for change.
Okay, so celebrity yes, celebrity yes. It's probably going. We're probably going to see more of it, and we'll be talking about that in the future. A few closing comments with no celebrities coming right up.